Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Welcome back to AI Hub, everyone. Larry here, ready for another AI deep dive.
And I'm Amanda, excited to dig in with you.
And today, we're tackling some kind of concerning news about the U.S. AI Safety Institute.
Yeah, the AISI.
Right, the AISI. The folks tasked with, well, keeping AI safe, you know.
Making sure it doesn't go all Skynet on us.
Haha, exactly. But it seems like they might be in a bit of a tough spot. We've got this TechCrunch article here, and it's highlighting some potential staffing cuts that could really, really impact their work.
Yeah, definitely a development worth keeping an eye on, especially given how fast AI is, growing. The need for really solid safety guidelines and strong research, it's more important now than ever.
Absolutely. So let's break it down. What's the main takeaway from this article?
Well, it looks like NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, where AIC is housed. They might be laying off a pretty significant chunk of their workforce.
Like how big are we talking?
Up to 500 people.
Wow, that's a lot. And this would impact AISI directly.
Oh yeah, and not just them. Other important programs at NIST, like the Chips for America initiative.
Right, the one focused on boosting, what was it again?
U.S. semiconductor manufacturing.
Yeah, that's right, semiconductor manufacturing. So these cuts, they'd have ripple effects.
For sure. And, it's worth noting that AII has kind of had a bumpy ride so far.
Oh, right. Tell me about that.
Well, it was originally established by President Biden through an executive order, but then when the next administration came in,
they repealed it.
Yep. So now with these possible layoffs, it's where does that leave AII? It's kind of uncertain,
Yeah, it's almost like it's stuck in this political tug of war.
Exactly.
Which is, pretty unsettling when you consider what they're actually supposed to be doing, figuring out how to develop and use AI safely and ethically. I mean, that's huge.
Totally. This isn't some niche thing. This has the potential to impact all of us. Think about it. AI is already in so many parts of our lives.
Oh, absolutely. Our phones, cars, you name it.
Right. And it's only going to get, more integrated. So having an organization dedicated to making sure this super powerful tech is developed responsibly, that's pretty important.
Couldn't agree more. And it sounds like it's not just, us who are feeling uneasy about this. The TechCrunch article, it mentions several AI safety and policy organizations that are, they're raising some red flags.
Yeah, some serious concerns. They're worried that these cuts would essentially gut the government's ability to properly research and address, the really crucial AI safety questions.
It makes sense, I guess. Less staff, less expertise. And when you're dealing with something as complex and rapidly changing as AI, expertise is kind of key.
It really is. And to really get why this is such a big deal, we kind of need to understand what NIST actually does.
Okay, lay it on me.
So basically, they're responsible for developing the technical standards and guidelines that kind of underpin how AI is developed and used, here in the U.S.
So they're like the rule makers, the ones setting the ground rules for AI.
Exactly. They're trying to make sure the tech that we're all increasingly relying on is built on this foundation of safety and reliability.
Okay, so NIST sets the standards, and AISI is this specialized team within NIST focusing specifically on the safety part of AI.
Right.
But why is that such a big deal? Really break it down for me.
Imagine a world where AI is just developed with no safety regulations or oversight whatsoever. Think, self-driving cars making decisions that could put passengers at risk, or AI systems in healthcare, making wrong diagnoses.
Okay, yeah, no, those are some pretty serious scenarios you're painting there.
Right. It'd be like building a skyscraper with no building codes or safety inspectors.
Yeah, I get the analogy now. That's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, okay.
And that's why this work that AISI is doing, it's so important.
Absolutely. They're trying to predict those potential risks and come up with ways to lessen them.
Yeah. And the fact they might be losing a big chunk of their team right when AI is making such huge leaps forward, that's pretty alarming.
It is. One of the experts quoted in the article, Jason Greenlow, he puts it really bluntly. He says, and I quote, "These cuts, if confirmed, would severely impact the government's capacity to research and address critical AI safety concerns at a time when such expertise is more vital than ever."
Whoa, that's a pretty strong statement. He sounds genuinely worried.
Yeah.
But how would these cuts actually impact AISI's work? Like, what specific areas of research or, development could be affected?
That's a great question, and it's something we should definitely explore. For instance, one area where AISI has been focusing is on developing standards for AI explainability.
Explainability.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds important, but what does that actually mean?
So it's this idea that we should be able to understand how AI systems are making their decisions. Think about it. If an AI system is making choices that affect our lives, shouldn't we be able to understand the logic behind those choices?
Right. Especially if those choices have potentially life-changing consequences, like in healthcare, for example.
Exactly. And AISI has been working on developing standards and guidelines to make sure that AI systems are designed in a way that allows for that kind of transparency and explainability. But if they're hit with staffing cuts, it's likely that kind of vital work could slow down, maybe even completely stop.
So let me get this straight. We've got this crucial organization. Their whole mission is to make sure AI is developed safely and ethically. And now they might be losing a large portion of their workforce right as AI is advancing faster than ever before. That's like trying to put out a wildfire with a garden hose.
That's a perfect analogy. It really highlights how urgent the situation is. We can't afford to be, complacent about AI safety.
Right. The stakes are they're too high.
Exactly. And this kind of leads us to another big question. If the government is, stepping back from its role in AI safety, who's going to fill that void? Is it companies? Researchers? Or is it, all of us?
That's a huge question, and one that we definitely need to dig into more. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's take a step back and make sure we're all on the same page about the current state of AI. I mean, this news about AISI, it's happening while we're seeing some pretty major stuff going down in the world of AI, right?
Absolutely. In the past few weeks alone, we've seen everything. The launch of new AI-powered devices like the Apple Vision Pro, major investments in AI startups like Humane.
Right. And then there's DeepSeek, this incredibly powerful AI system that's already shaking things up in the medical field. And we can't forget about, Meta's recent expansion in India. That's going to have a huge impact on, the global AI landscape.
It's a lot to keep up with, that's for sure. And it just emphasizes how rapidly AI is evolving.
It seems like every day there's a new breakthrough, a new application, a new company pushing the limits of what's possible.
And that's both exciting and a little bit, unnerving, because as AI gets more powerful, as its capabilities grow, so do the potential risks.
And that's where AISI's work becomes even more critical.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones supposed to be thinking about those risks, developing strategies to to keep things in check.
Exactly. And that's why these potential cuts are so concerning. It's we're building this incredibly powerful engine, but with no safety features.
Okay, so we've got this complex situation, right? AISI facing these potential cuts, and meanwhile, the world of AI is just speeding ahead. Where do we go from here? What's the next step in our deep dive?
Well, I think it's time to really dig into the potential consequences of these cuts. What specific areas of AI safety research could be impacted, and what does that mean for the future of responsible AI development?
Sounds like a good place to start. Buckle up, everyone, because we're about to go even deeper into this fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty important topic. Okay, so we've established that AISI could be facing some serious setbacks. And the timing, well, it couldn't be worse, right? Given all these advancements in AI happening right now. Well, let's get into the specifics. What are some actual examples of how these cuts, how they could actually play out?
Okay, well, think about this. One of the main things AISI focuses on is developing standards for things like bias in AI.
Bias in AI. Yeah, I've heard that term before. But I gotta be honest, I'm not totally sure I get what it means.
Oh, it's a huge issue. Basically, what it means is that AI systems, they can sometimes, they can perpetuate and even amplify existing societal biases.
Okay, so how? Can you give me an example?
Sure. So imagine an AI system that's used for hiring, right? But it's been trained on data that reflects historical, gender or racial biases that already exist in the workforce.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. So the system might end up unfairly favoring certain candidates even if they're, equally qualified.
Exactly. And that's just one example. We see this kind of thing happening with AI systems in all sorts of areas, from, loan applications to even criminal justice.
So AISI is trying to develop standards and guidelines to prevent this kind of bias from sneaking into these AI systems.
Exactly. They're working on ways to make sure that these systems are fair, transparent, and, accountable. But with fewer resources and staff, that work gets a lot harder.
And that's a problem, because if we don't address these things now, we could end up with AI systems that are just going to perpetuate and even worsen existing inequalities.
It's a real concern. And it's not just about, fairness either. It's about safety, too. Imagine an AI system used in healthcare, but it's biased against certain demographics. The consequences, those could be really serious.
Yeah, okay, that's a bit scary to think about. So we've got the bias issue. What else is ASI working on that could be affected by these cuts?
Another big one is robustness. So basically making sure that AI systems are reliable and resilient, even when things get a little unexpected.
So they don't go haywire and start doing things they're not supposed to.
Exactly. We need AI systems that can handle noisy data, that can adapt to changing environments, and that can resist what are called adversarial attacks.
Adversarial attacks, what are those?
It's basically someone intentionally trying to trick or manipulate an AI system.
So hacking, but for AI.
You got it. And it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Think about, a self-driving car that gets tricked by a sticker that someone put strategically on a stop sign, and it causes the car to misinterpret the sign.
Okay, yeah, that's terrifying.
Right. And that's why AISI is trying to develop, standards and testing methods to make AI systems more robust, more resistant to these kinds of attacks. But again, with fewer resources, it just, it makes that work even more challenging.
So we've got bias, robustness. What else? I'm sensing a bit of a theme here. It seems like AI says tackling some really fundamental challenges when it comes to AI development.
Yeah, you're definitely picking up on something. There are even more issues they're working on, things like privacy, security, and accountability.
Okay, hold on. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about this whole other world of risks and challenges that I never thought about before.
Yeah, it can definitely be a lot to wrap your head around, but that's exactly why it's so important to have organizations like AISI that are fully dedicated to researching and addressing these things.
It's like they're the guardians of responsible AI development.
I like that, the guardians. And right now, it kind of seems like those guardians might be losing their weapons.
And that's a problem for all of us, because AI is just going to keep getting more powerful, more integrated into our lives.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's not even just about the technology itself. It's about how we use it, how we govern it, how we make sure that it benefits humanity and doesn't harm it.
So what can we actually do? We're just two people having a conversation here. Does it even matter?
It absolutely matters. The first step to solving any problem is understanding it. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're raising awareness, getting people talking, and hopefully, inspiring some action.
Okay, so we've gone over some of the the potential fallout from these AISI cuts, but I'm still kind of stuck on what can we actually do about it? It feels, I don't know, kind of overwhelming,
I totally get it. It's easy to feel powerless when you're dealing with these big, complex issues, but there are definitely things we can do.
Really? What? Give me some hope here, Amanda.
All right. Well, first off, knowledge is power. The more we understand about these issues, the better we're able to, advocate for change.
Okay. So step 1, stay informed. But I'm guessing that means more than just doom scrolling through AI headlines on Twitter.
For sure. You got to dig deeper, go beyond the surface. There are tons of resources out there, articles, reports, podcasts.
Subtle plug there. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, folks, there's a wealth of information out there if you're willing to look for it.
Exactly. And once you're informed, don't be afraid to make some noise. Reach out to your elected officials. Let them know that this stuff matters to you.
Write those strongly worded emails, blow up their phones, right?
Yeah.
Politicians tend to pay attention when their constituents get vocal.
Exactly. And remember, you don't got to do this alone. Connect with other people who are passionate about AI safety. Join online communities, go to events.
It's about building a movement.
Right.
Because this isn't just some tech issue. This affects like all of us.
Absolutely. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI. And guess what? One of the most powerful things you can do is just like talk about it.
Yeah, spread the word, have those dinner table conversations, get people thinking about these things.
Right, because the more awareness we raise, the more pressure we can put on those in power to make responsible AI development a priority.
Okay, so stay informed, speak up, spread the word. Got it.
Oh.
But let's be real for a second. Is that really enough?
Honestly, it's a start, and it's a crucial one. We have to create this culture of responsibility around AI. It can't just be left to like the experts or the policymakers. It's on all of us.
Deep stuff, Amanda. So to wrap things up here, what are the key takeaways from our deep dive today?
Well, we learned about the U.S. AI Safety Institute, this really vital organization working to make sure that AI is, developed safely and ethically. And they're facing some potential setbacks. And the timing really couldn't be worse given how quickly AI is advancing.
Yeah. We talked about the real consequences of those potential cuts. Less research into, bias. Less focus on robustness. Less attention to all those crucial aspects of AI safety that we talked about.
Right. And we explored that bigger question of, if the government steps back, who's responsible question. It's something we all really need to be thinking about.
It really is. So, folks, this isn't just some, abstract tech news. This is about the future we're creating, the kind of world we all want to live in.
Exactly. We can't afford to just sit back and hope for the best. We have to be informed, engaged, and vocal. The future of AI, it's in our hands.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Amanda. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining us on this deep dive. It was a pretty heavy topic, but I hope you found it insightful.
It was a pleasure, Larry. And for all of you listening, remember to stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
And if you want more deep dives into the fascinating and sometimes, let's be honest, mind-boggling world of AI, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with more soon.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.